So there is a team inside Snowflake that helps startups incubate some of these ideas. 4 or 5 companies that I know of now are fully operating on top of Snowflake.
Yeah, hi, Manish. Would you like to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Boyan, for this opportunity and this chat. I'm Manish. I'm a senior software solutions engineer at Snowflake. But I primarily think of myself as someone who builds software, someone who solves business problems using AI and machine learning.
So what is your role at Snowflake? How do you help organizations to use Snowflake technology?
My role in Snowflake is working with our services partners, partners who help other customers solve and achieve commercial outcomes. And so I help enable a lot of the technologists who are new to Snowflake by educating them, training them, and make them certified. But also on the other side, when the delivery happens, when the project is received, when customers are trying to solve their business problems using data, trying to solve transformation challenges, that's where other part of my role, which is solution architecture, comes into the play. So figuring out what is the entire landscape of the business, whether it's ingestion problems, whether it's reporting problems, whether it's using AI and machine learning to advance business decision making, creating those solutions that are industry specific, that are solving niche problems in marketing or in supply chain, is what I do with these partners. And primarily I work across Australia and New Zealand. So my focus is with our strategic partners. They could be GSIs, they could be the regional services partners.
What is the GSI?
Global system integrators.
Right.
The likes of Accenture and Deloitte.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So you're working with the consulting companies.
As well. Yeah. So we start from strategy, figure out the problem statement, the pain points.
So you moved from someone working inside the enterprises, building solutions, to a vendor provider, helping enterprises to adopt AI and data. So from your view, what is the biggest change in terms of problem solving, helping enterprises?
My journey has been more like a map than of a ladder. I like to see various different aspects of myself. So rather than being unidimensional and just climbing one ladder, I try to explore various options. So you're right. Started off as a data scientist, as a machine learning engineer, and as a product manager. So essentially solving problems for one business unit, for one particular team, whether it was in marketing, figuring out who to target next, using structured data, using tables and machine learning algorithms like random forest, to going on and thinking beyond just marketing, thinking maybe we can solve some of the fraud analytics problems with the same sort of techniques and tools that I have. And that has led me to understand that many of the problems within an enterprise are data problems, are decision problems. What do I mean by that is you require some sort of input, understand patterns. That's where machine learning and data science comes in. And then figure out how to apply those predictions that your models are giving into the decision making. So sometimes it's just reducing risk, sometimes it's optimizing cost, sometimes it's scaling what you're doing at a higher level. So if I was trying to run one prediction to optimize my network performance, can I scale this to 100 towers or maybe 1,000 towers? And can I do it at a more frequent rate? And what I realized was, in doing so, there are certain products that have grown as my understanding of this space has grown, and Snowflake was one of them. It was a very key platform which just became from a data warehouse to becoming a data cloud, which uniquely brought AI into the data world. Rather than shipping your data outside, it made it easy to build and run some of these things.
Yeah, exciting time. So Snowflake obviously is leading the space of data and AI. And from what you've seen on your daily basis, how do large organizations adopt AI transformation internally? You mentioned swarm agents.
Absolutely, so what I'm seeing happening in this space is AI agents have become synonymous with 2025. 2024 it's all about various different models. So prompt engineering was key, but 2025 is taking actions, not just creating more sophisticated documents and interesting images, but can you take action? And in an enterprise, it is very much required, because a knowledge worker works across 10 or 20 different applications in a given day, and being able to get data from one environment, map it to the other, and then take decision is a complex workflow. With agents, it's becoming much more easier. So to give you an example, where some of my conversations with various analysts, whether they were from security or cybersecurity or from consumer channels or from marketing, always wanted to get information and knowledge from tables, maybe Excel files, maybe tables coming from billing and usage, but also then combine it with documents. So some of the times you'll have architecture, some of the times you'll have photos taken from various campaigns, and so on and so forth. And you want to combine the two and then get a decision. So this is where agents are very useful, because they, by just understanding your question, go to various different places and come back. So where I'm seeing this moving ahead. Started with that LLM, go get me information from this unstructured document, whether it's image or audio or video or a PDF, towards you figure out which document to go to, whether to write SQL for a specific example or use vector search for a particular other document, and come back. But now, don't just bring me the information, help me act on that. So which means if I have to then take an action on update certain things. So for example, if I ran a campaign and it performed at a certain success criteria in the past, so I have that experiment data, I have the asset data, which what images were run, what platforms, what impressions it collected. So from a marketing perspective, now I want you to also then come up with new experiments, find new audiences, and then provision those in my activation platforms. So that aspect of retrieve data, make sense of it, and suggest new, and then go activate those. All keeping human in the loop, because now you want to be in control of, rather than being the doer, now you're being the reviewer.
Orchestrator.
Right? Exactly. And so what I'm sharing now is it's going to be more than one agent doing one thing. It's going to be more than one platform on which they start acting. So you require that centralized governance. You require access control, permissions, and then reviewing those. So you require monitoring and assessment and auditing later. So multi-agents becomes the next frontier. Again, come back to the words of swarm intelligence. These are smaller agents specialized to do certain tasks in a certain domain, have very much good understanding. So for example, it could be in biology that they know how two compounds react chemically, but also how they work using physics. So for example, right? So how does nature does its thing? They are very specialized sort of machines, which we have, like proteins. So these agents could work in unison at scale, and you can then apply that similar concept inside enterprise. So you'd have multiple of these agents. So I'm seeing many systems now coming online through coding first, swarm intelligence, creating various applications, and they're very resilient, because all you need to figure out is the communication between them, the orchestration, the governance, and then the monitoring and reviewing aspect, and let those smaller models, specialized models, be used in those agents.
Obviously these sub-agents are so sort of single-minded to focus on one task, and then you have to organize them together. Now there are two leading protocols. One is called a MCP, and the other one is called an agent-to-agent protocol, powered by Google. From your view, which one's more promising especially in the enterprise landscape?
I think both of them are trying to again solve this problem of orchestration, governance, and reliability. A lot of what we have built through generative AI is built probabilistic systems. And in an enterprise setting, you want reliability. Like a task that was done yesterday, which was, let's say, processing of your invoice, all the money was paid rightly to the right person. You want that to be reliably done over and over again. Repeat, but with a high accuracy and high quality. So that's reliability. With a probabilistic system, it is a challenge, because it may or may not. And that's based on the chance. So in an enterprise world, you want reliability. Recently, Google donated A2A to Linux Software Foundation. What that tells you is, and with a high support from the industry, many software vendors and platform providers see this as a step towards agent-to-agent communication, which is what I'm saying, multi-agent. And being donated to Linux Software Foundation makes more sense, because then not one company or entity is controlling the direction of the protocol. Then it becomes widely adopted. People will start contributing to it.
Just like Kubernetes.
Just like Kubernetes, when Google donated that. And so now it has become a standard of running multi-container systems, right? MCP also has its own space. It can help you talk to various tools without having to create many APIs and interfaces. Although it lacks in security, which I think probably Anthropic would work on. But the direction that I'm seeing, specialized agents would require access to specialized tools. That will be probably most likely be handled by Model Context Protocol, because that works on context engineering. And then agent to agent, and they could be running in different environments. They could be running on-prem cloud. They could be running in various parts of the same enterprise. So like a billing agent could talk to a marketing agent, or warehouse agent is what I was saying. So how do you give information back and forth to these is what I see A2A would be used more fundamentally. The other point that I just want to make, because it's being donated to LSF, that just tells me that the entire operating system might also be thought in a different way. Elias Asketier mentioned about LLM OS, and he talked about LLM compilers, RAMs, and modules, and memory, and state. And he envisioned how an LLM-centric operating system could look like. Donating A2A to a Linux Foundation could just signal that also, like the fundamental way how we've created the software for running any application, which is our operating system. If we also agentify that, what sort of things can it open? So you can start thinking of, you will have user level agents, you'll have kernel level agents, and those will have like a proper boundary. So your user agents will not breach the kernel boundary. Again, provide more security, more reliability, which is what you want in an enterprise setting.
An operating system that is AI and agentic native, and that opens up the whole new world. Imagine, what the operating system and what a cloud can do, and how easy for a person to operate such system in the cloud.
Absolutely. And I'm just gonna add one more point, because again, if you think about where Apple is trying to play in spatial computing, those systems dictate you to not have an point and click, a keyboard like interface. Those systems dictate you to have more natural interfaces, and they could be just looking at something for a few seconds, so using gaze, or just pointing, or just saying. So the inputs are multimodal, which requires you to handle. So previously, how we've been doing is convert everything to text and then run. But as we are moving towards more spatial computing, the inputs, the interfaces need to adapt to the native inputs rather than being translated to a text-based input.
So from your view, where do you see the biggest challenge or the practical gap in the enterprise AI transformation?
From experience, many of the enterprises in general get stuck in the ways of the past. So again, something that has worked, why change if something is not broken mindset can hinder innovation. In my opinion. But even those organizations who are open to innovation, or who are thinking differently and trying to disrupt the incumbents, have a challenge of essentially getting the data into a platform in a much more faster way, in a reliable way. If I think of an enterprise, the enterprise works at 3 levels. So reduce the cost of doing something, which is producing service or providing product, or increase the margin. So you increase the price, make it more scarce, or do both. If from that perspective, you can either improve the productivity of a person, so that it can produce that thing at a lower cost, reduce your operating cost and increase your margins. And so from that perspective, anything that is costing me more money today, if I can replace that, will be, in general, save me more money. And the challenge is that the older ways of running things are very much license-based, seat-based, and modern ways of running things are more on consumption-based. So if I go from that philosophy, anything that is in my enterprise based on license, based on fixed cost, I should start thinking of making it a replacement towards more consumption pricing. And then I tie that consumption pricing to my outcomes. It should return some more value to me. So it should increase my margin, profit margin, so growth. So what are the things that are driving growth? And if I can tie that and convert those into more consumption based, and that's how I see. So enterprises who are not changing their cost structure around the expenses towards more consumption, and then not linking towards the business growth, are the two sort of challenges that I see. And there are ways of solving both of them. In my conversations with service partners, I do emphasize a lot of these on this, and I also write my own thoughts on LinkedIn based on a lot of on this as well.
So I see the pricing model or business model has a shift from the license-based software to subscription, then the usage-based. Now I see there's a new paradigm shift to the result-based.
Yes, that's where I was going. So outcome-based or result-based, because what you end up having is 20 different subscriptions. I give my personal example. I have subscription to Netflix, to YouTube, to Spotify, and I'm like, am I using all of that? So at some point, I'll think which of the ones are improving my goals. So if my goal is of personal development, if my goal is of reach, then I'll probably keep those subscriptions which are aligned with that. So businesses who are figuring out what are the outcomes that we want, how do we make money, and what are the products that are making money that will grow and create more revenue, and then link it with the tools and processes that are consumption based rather than license based.
So now the new challenge is that when enterprise adopt the usage based, it's very measurable, but a result-based outcome typically lack transparency or accurate measurement.
I'll bring it back down to very specific example now. At Snowflake, a new feature was released called Semantic Views. And the Semantic View philosophy is you have certain metrics in your organization that you care. A lot of metrics are what are called vanity metrics. So you just, for the sake of it, start measuring them. But certain metrics really drive your business. And so Semantic View allows you to frame up what are the things that your organization care about, and then figure out their logic. So that transparency, that opaqueness that you talked about, the need for transparency, and today it's very opaque and it's very gut-based. You want to translate that to a data-driven approach. You want to translate to more evidence-based. And semantic layers are the ones that I see. So imagine a scenario where now you have not only humans, but machines and agents are also working in your enterprise. They don't have gut, which means they don't have a gut feeling. To make them more, again, reliable, I go back to that reliable point. You require all of these to be written in a way that are consumable by them, but also by the humans. So semantic layers are going to be the next big sort of shift in the enterprise operating model. Organizations who are thinking of moving to a data-driven approach, data-driven operating model require that semantic layer. And again, that semantic layer comes in various flavors. It could be in a graph structure, it could be in a tabular structure, it could be in a KPI tree structure. So various different implementation, but the concept remains the same, that what you want is you want the data to be very close to the business that you are operating in, not from the source how your data gets stored. So data could be stored in 20 different tables in various different formats, but how do I make sense of that? So you asked, how can I measure the success? So those are the metrics. One key example that I can share with you is I can collect clicks and impressions from LinkedIn, for example, but is that really driving what I want? So let's say I want to drive more profile views. I want to drive more calls. So I have, let's say, book an appointment with me. Those are the things that I would then measure. So I'll create more metrics, not follow just the impressions, but how many impressions are translating to the goal that I care about, and start measuring those.
So Snowflake is also building ecosystem for startups. And from your view, what are the opportunities for AI startups?
So what I see Snowflake is trying to help community is to build that ecosystem. There are 4 or 5 companies that I know of now are fully operating on top of Snowflake. And they are in the observability space, they are in supply chain, they are in marketing, and these companies are built on Snowflake, meaning it's not a database that they have, but the entire operations on Snowflake, from HR to ERP to billing to marketing, everything is running inside Snowflake. And beside, so they have apps running as well.
So these are the startups.
These are startups.
New companies.
Yes. This ecosystem of some customers using Snowflake for their operations, becomes one of the node in the whole data cloud. Then there are companies who are building on top of Snowflake. They also have their customers. So now both of them, the one who is just using Snowflake for their business, the company that the startup that is running inside Snowflake platform, and their customers can share data with each other. And so you now have a new kind of ecosystem creation, which allows startups to monetize and distribute their own products and services. And these products and services are AI models, are data products, and applications. Full-fledged applications written in React could run inside Snowflake on a Kubernetes type environment without having to manage the infrastructure. And it could run inside GPUs. And the beauty of this is because Snowflake can run on all three major clouds, your application can work with multi-cloud, multi-region. So the distribution becomes very easy. Install base becomes very easy.
Also in terms of data governance.
Exactly. So I can various features allow you to then control who has access to what. And I'm just going to close with the startups team are building on this. So there is a team inside Snowflake that helps startups incubate some of these ideas. But then there is a community of users and builders, which Snowflake has a 1 million mind program, which allows them to learn Snowflake. So that as this startup is starting to scale, they would also need people to support their business. So now there's a availability of developer community as well. It's going all 360, which is build a platform on which you have big customers running their workloads. That proves the reliability of the system. Then build companies who are building on Snowflake natively. Then build people who can work and build things inside Snowflake. And then that network effect will happen.
It sounds like this ecosystem supports the builder end-to-end, from learning to building to shipping.
Absolutely, and scaling. And so many ambitious startups have gone all in.
From your view as a seasoned engineer, what do builders need to do to stay relevant in the era where AI landscape is changing so rapidly? New technologies are created every day.
That's the question I ask myself every day. The answer that I've found is in 2 sentences. One is under my LinkedIn profile as well, is make it work, make it right, and make it fast. And in that order. And the second statement is that I thoroughly follow is stop pouring and start drinking. And what both of these statements are trying to share is the philosophy that today the knowledge is available and accessible more than what we can consume. So stop pouring water into the glass because the water is going to overflow. So start drinking.
That is very mindful.
Meaning hydrate yourself, meaning start using and applying. So whatever role you are in today, whether you are a developer or an analyst, start using these tools in your day-to-day work, and then you'll learn how to use them even more or less. Don't just consume, being a passive consumer, but actively participate. So even on this, if you have thoughts and ideas, share with us. This is what's working for me, and that's the community effect that you'll see. So a lot of the ideas that I learned from are from the people who are building and doing things, and also then I go and apply at my work, at my home, encourage my kids to also use some of these as well. So I learn from them. So
I like it. Thanks Manish for sharing the insights. That's very close to the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.